Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Austin, and today I am going to walk you through the making of my Angewomon costume. So, what you'll need are feathers, duh, and depending on whether or not you're making your angel wings or whether you're getting some store-bought angel wings, you'll need 3 pairs of angel wings, you'll need a tiny, like, child-sized pair to go on your hand, and 2 pairs to wear on your back. I'm using smaller pairs because Anime Expo is very crowded, so I do not want to have a giant ass pair of articulating wings on my back. I was going to do that, but then I decided against it. You will also need some white fabric, white stretchy fabric. You'll want it to stretch, that's important. You will need a black stretchy fabric for the details. You will need zippers. That's another important part of the detailing. You'll need rings for the belts. You'll need closures for the belts that go around your thigh. You'll need your wig, unless you're using your natural hair. I'm using a Demeter in Caramel Blonde by Epic Cosplay. You'll need tons and tons and tons of feathers. You'll need Googly Eyes for the details of the mask. You'll need EVA Foam. I'm using 2mm. You will need your mask. I'm using this thing because I figured, this would be the easiest to work with. Because, I can see through it. And I'll be able to wear it and I won't have to take it off and then put it back on like other cosplayers have to do this character have to do. And you will need primer and paint for your mask details. And you'll also need either gold fabric or vinyl to make the golden detailing that goes around the leg and goes on your bra. Oh, and you'll also need high-heeled shoes. It's also worth mentioning that I'm doing 2 builds at the same time, so if you see stuff in the background from another build, that's where it's from. Let's get started.
So the very first thing I want to do is take the mask out of the packaging, and then I want to figure out exactly how it fits on my face, and then make the markings to cut it accordingly. And once I do that, then I can cut the mask to look more like a demi-mask like Angewomon has. Once you've cut it and then smoothed the edges with a lighter, be careful, you can move on to adding the detail. I'm measuring the mask length and width-wise so I can figure out exactly how long and wide to make the cross that goes across the mask. Once I've figured it out, then I'll cut the shape out of EVA foam. And then once I do that, then I'll add the detailing with Googly Eyes. I'm using E6000 to attach the Googly Eyes because I found that seems to be the most dependable glue for me, but you can use hot glue or contact cement or whatever suits your fancy for this type of job to work with EVA foam. But yeah, I'm using E6000. Once you've attached all the Googly Eyes, then you can move on to the fun part, which is the painting! I'm starting with a white primer from Krylon just to prime the paint so that it'll show up better and more vibrantly. And so it'll go on much smoother. So I'm using this metallic paint to add the color to the mask detailing, and guys, I am so in love. This paint is so vibrant and amazing, and this is just from one coat. I love it so much. Like, look at this. This is just from one coat. Look how vibrant it is. Look how shiny it is. It's amazing, it's beautiful, and I love it. I'm sorry, but I just have to give a shout out to this. This is the Krylon Premium Metallic in Original Chrome, and I got it at Michael's. So definitely worth every penny that I paid for it. Okay, enough gushing. Time to put the cross on the mask. I'm going to use some E6000 to do it, and then hold it down with some flips until it dries. Now it's time to make the feather details that go on the sides of the mask. I'm using the straps from the cross, and then I'm going to glue some feathers onto little squares, and then glue them on the inside of the mask. Looks pretty good. Now that the mask is done, it's time to move on to the rest of the costume. I'm using some heels that I bought off of eBay for the bases for the boots, and just as a heads up, these fell apart like the same day I wore them, so yeah. Faulty shoes aside, the very first thing I did was cut an incision in the fabric and put the heel through. Then, like a good little cosplayer, I put my foot in the shoe and then wrapped the fabric around both my foot and the shoe. Then, after cutting it out and sewing it, it's time to move on to the next step. So I'm basically doing the same thing on the other leg, except I'm wrapping the fabric around my whole leg this time. Then I cut the boot cover open and added the zipper. For the first boot, I cut out some squares of the fabric and then interfaced them. Then I sewed them together. Now it's time to add the gold trim to the edge, and to do that I'm using fusible bonding tape. I'm going to add the gold trim to the top and sides, but I'm leaving the bottom open so that I can sew it along the rest of the boot cover. Once that's done, I'm going to fold it at the top so it looks more like Angewomon's boot. Then I can sew it onto the boot cover. Looks good. Now all I have to do is add the feathers to the boot cover, and then we're done with this one. To do this, I'm using some of the smaller feathers from Michael's. You guys do not want to know the pain I endured hot gluing these feathers onto the shoe cover with my foot inside of it. Ouch! Alright, now it's time for the most important part of this, which is the bodysuit. I'm using a strapless romper as a base and then cutting it out and modifying the shape accordingly. It didn't work out or fit initially, so I had to play with it quite a bit, and I'm probably going to end up remaking this bodysuit, to be completely honest. Once I finish the other details like the belts and the collar, it's time to move on to the chest pieces. To do that, I'm using the cups from an old bra that's useless to me, and then cutting out the shapes using Fusible Foam. Once I fuse them onto the gold fabric, then I'm going to sew on the detailing. After cutting out the pieces for the belts, then I'm going to sew them together and add on the metal details. I got these adjustable slide buckles from Joann's for the straps that go on Angewomon's thighs. Once the belts and garters are done and that's all taken care of, I'm going to do the gold ankle cuff that Angewomon has, and then I'm going to attach the breast cups to the bra cups that I don't use anymore. And to do that, I'm using hair clips. I know, classic. For the waist belts, I'm using shallow rings. Now that the cosplay is done, it's time for day one of Anime Expo. I got a bunch of really cute makeup at TJ Maxx right before day one of AX, so we're going to use some of it. I'm using a Photo Fresh color correction primer, and we're going to keep the makeup light since half my face is going to be covered anyway. After I've primed my face, I'm going to take my beauty blender and then apply some foundation. And I'm using L'Oreal True Match for this. Like I said, I'm not going to go too heavy on it since half my face is going to be covered. There's really no need for that. After contouring my face with MAC Studio's contour palette, I'm going to use my concealer powder to dry the makeup and to set it, which is all I really need to do after doing the contour. After adding some blush, then I'm going to call it quits on my makeup. I'm not going to add any eye makeup or anything. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of lipstick and then call it quits after that. After adding on my angel wings to my costume, I'm gonna get the rest of my costume on. Now that everything's ready, I'm going to put on my wig. As I mentioned before, the wig I'm using is the Demeter in Caramel Blonde from Epic Cosplay. And guys, I'm in love. It looks so good, and it's perfect for this costume. After putting the wig on, then I'm gonna put on my lipstick, and then put on my mask, and then I'm ready to go. Because Anime Expo is so crowded, I'm just going to use this piece of pink fabric that I impulse bought at Joann's for the wrap that she wears. And then I'm ready. Let's get going. Guys, I'm so proud of how this costume turned out. I think even for a first attempt, even though I'm going to be remaking the bodysuit, for a first attempt, this isn't half bad. I'm super proud of it. What are some challenging costumes that you made that turned out better than you thought? Let me know in the comments below.